Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with a group of vocal animal rights activists bursting into a facility. For the purpose of doing research on medicines, the lab kept a number of different chimpanzee species in custody. The radical activists move forward with their plan to set the animals free, but a member of the lab staff warns them not to do so, since the animals are infected with the extremely contagious rage virus. Animal rights activists, on the other hand, disobey the instructions and begin setting the chimps free. The moment the chimps are let loose, they immediately begin attacking everyone in the lab, spreading the disease to them. The worker in the lab makes an effort to eradicate the infected, but it is too late, and he is rapidly overpowered. The disease immediately spreads through the campaigners, turning them into unstoppable monsters, in a span of less than 20 seconds. Fast forward to 28 days later. A man, Jim, awakens in a hospital bed. As he rises from his bed and looks around, he notices the hospital has been abandoned and wrecked. All the phone lines are disconnected. He grabs some drinks and heads out, only to discover that the entire city of London is desolate, and appears to have been destroyed, just like the hospital. He goes about the city, trying to meet new people. He comes across a church, where a large crowd has assembled. He shouts out for them, only to be pursued by humans who appear to have transformed into furious beasts. They pursue Jim through the streets, until he encounters two survivors, Selena and Mark. The trio sets fire to the raging beasts, throwing homemade gasoline bombs at them. They then use explosives to finish out the creatures, and drag Jim into their lair, a shop in the London Underground. Jim was a bicycle courier who was involved in an accident, and went into a coma. While he was unconscious, the rage virus spread rapidly over the country, transforming people into vicious monsters, causing a societal collapse. There is no radio, electricity, TV, or government, army, or police, and the only food available is candy and canned soft drinks. Selena speculates that the disaster has spread globally. The news frightens Jim, and he vows to find his parents. Selena and Mark try to discourage him, but eventually give in, and join him at his parents' house the next morning. Jim's house, like the rest of the city, appears to be haunted. He discovers his parents' bodies in their chamber. They appear to have killed themselves together, and left him a farewell message. After reading the note, Jim bursts into tears. For reasons of safety, the three decide to spend the night at that house, and sleep in the same room. Jim is unable to sleep because of his parents' thoughts. He examines his mother's handwriting and old home films, while Selena and Mark sleep comfortably. Suddenly, two demons burst through his window, and assault him like crazed maniacs. Selena and Mark instantly awaken and rush to Jim's aid, and the monsters are easily defeated. Jim is unharmed, but Mark is bleeding from the struggle. Fearing an infection, Selena knocks Mark down, and slashes him to death with a machete, while Jim looks on in terror. She resolves to go to the store right away, fearful of further attacks. Jim is disturbed by Mark's murder, but she explains that the virus spreads through tainted blood, overpowering victims in seconds, and transforming them into angry, violent monsters. She feels that simply being alive is sufficient, and that the aim justifies the methods. She threatens to kill him in a heartbeat if he becomes infected. As they walk to the store, they notice Christmas lights twinkling in an apartment, in a high-rise building in a city that is otherwise gloomy and deserted. They travel to explore in the hopes of discovering other survivors. They walk the stairs to the flat, but halfway, Jim has tiredness and a severe headache, possibly caused by hunger. She hands him pain relievers and a drink, but they are interrupted by the noise of sick people climbing the stairs. Panicking, the two hurry upstairs, and collide with a man dressed in police riot gear. While blocking the infected, the man directs the couple to his flat. The infected try to get around him, but he manages to stop them. The man then introduces himself as Frank, and welcomes the two to the apartment. He lives with Hannah, his adolescent daughter. He pours them a glass of wine, and switches off the battery-powered Christmas lights. Selena and Jim spend the night at Frank's flat, secretly debating whether or not to stay with them. Jim feels they are good people, but Selena fears they will slow them down, and she would abandon them in a heartbeat. She cautions him that putting others ahead of one's own life is a sure way to get killed. Frank and Jim check the water they had left the next morning. The situation isn't looking good, because it hasn't rained in days, and Frank fears they won't be able to survive in the apartment for long. He then plays a recording of a radio broadcast, made by soldiers stationed near Manchester, who claim to have discovered the answer to the infection, and invite survivors, offering protection at a blockade in Manchester. Frank advises they travel there. Selena hesitates at first, but eventually agrees. After that, the gang departs in Frank's automobile. They come upon a tunnel on their way. Jim is hesitant to enter a dark tunnel, but Frank and Selena overrule him. A pile of automotive debris blocks the tunnel, and Frank drives over it, resulting in a flat tire. Jim's biggest nightmare comes true when the group hears a swarm of sick people approaching them. Frank and the others get together, change the tire quickly, and make it out in time. They stop after a short distance, to restock on food and other necessities. They also refuel in a large jerry can for their long journey. The gang spends the night in a pastoral field, and share a meal. Selena's perspective on life begins to shift, after spending time with Frank and his daughter. She reveals to Jim that simply existing isn't enough, and that there is more to life. Soon, Jim and Hannah struggle to sleep, because they are afraid of being attacked, although Selena falls asleep quickly. Jim awakens her and urges her to reveal her secret. She hands them the sleeping tablets she takes, and reveals she is a licensed pharmacist, and the pills are perfectly safe. Jim and Hannah each take one and fall asleep, but Frank stays up, to keep an eye out for the infected beasts. They continue their trek the next morning, and arrive at a blockade after driving for hours. They also notice fires in the distance, and are dismayed to find the blockade deserted. Selena advises them to go home, but Frank isn't about to give up. He searches for soldiers, but eventually gives up. He becomes upset and screams at people in exasperation. A crow cawing on an infected soldier's corpse adds to his annoyance. He kicks on the tin wall to scare the bird away, but instead, a drop of tainted blood lands in his eyes. Frank warns his daughter to stay away from him, and as the infection begins to take over his body, Hannah becomes concerned and walks near him. Selena intervenes swiftly, as Frank is shot dead by soldiers hidden behind the barrier. The blockade hadn't been abandoned after all. Soldiers transport the 3 survivors in their vehicle to a secured mansion. Major Henry West, who commands the soldiers, greets them. The 3 of them shower and change their clothes. Selena is affected by Frank's death and the impact it has on Hannah, both she had gotten close to in recent days. Jim consoles Selena, and the two begin to develop romantic feelings for each other. Later, he tells West about the answer to infection promised in the army announcement. West tells him that, while it may not be what he expected, they do have an answer. The perimeter of the mansion is fortified with high walls, and the surrounding terrain is riddled with tripwires and landmines. They heat water and prepare food over a wood fire. West expects diseased people to starve to death. He even kept an infected soldier named Mailer locked up in the mansion, to study the virus's effects. Everyone then meets for dinner. West has discussions with his sergeant, Farrell, about post-infection life, as people eat whatever the soldier cook has managed to throw together. West takes Jim out for a drink after dinner, and offers him a survival lecture, before admitting that he promised to provide women for his army. The troops aren't simply waiting for the infected to die, they're also planning to live by forcing female survivors into servitude. Jim, terrified by the revelation, seeks to depart with Selena and Hannah. Sergeant Farrell attempts to assist them, but the soldiers easily arrest them, and confine Farrell and Jim in a chamber. Farrell speculates while imprisoned that the virus must not have gone beyond British borders. He claims the virus takes over the body so quickly, sick people will be unable to leave the island and spread the disease. The next day, 2 soldiers take Farrell and Jim into the woods, to be executed. When one of the soldiers hesitates to shoot his sergeant, the other man shoots Farrell and they start fighting, while Jim flees, and escapes crossing over the wall. He spots the contrails of a jet flying overhead and grows optimistic. Meanwhile, West orders Selena and Hannah to become presentable, in order to serve the soldiers, and they are led to a restroom. Selena persuades the troops to allow her time to prepare Hannah. The sirens suddenly began to sound. When West finds out Jim has escaped, he sends one of his soldiers to track him down. Jim ambushes and kills the soldier at the barrier. He steals his gun, and frees the infected soldier Mailer from captivity at the headquarters. Mailer assaults the troops, and the 2 girls flee. Mailer's bite generates another monster, which attacks other soldiers. As West returns, Jim takes out a soldier, and searches for the females. As Selena watches in terror, Jim brutally murders the soldier who has taken her captive. Fearing that he's infected, Selena gets her machete, and prepares to attack him, but she can't bring herself to do it. Jim says, "That was longer than a heartbeat." Selena drops the machete, and the 2 kiss passionately. Hannah locates them, and the 3 dash to Frank's car. West, who was waiting for them in the back seat, shoots Jim in the stomach. Hannah is furious as she drives the car, and delivers West to the infected Mailer. Jim is taken to a deserted hospital. Another 28 days later, after Selena performed a life-saving procedure on Jim. He regains consciousness, healing from his injuries in an isolated cottage. In another room, he discovers Selena sewing a large piece of material together. Suddenly, Hannah bursts in saying, "It's coming." The three quickly grab the fabric and flee outdoors, with the giant cloth banner saying hello. As they look up, a Finnish fighter jet glides past and notices the SOS signal. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.